would have preferred last week's topic. I don't know why I was so privileged to be given this topic. Quite a difficult topic. So before we begin, I want to tell you that whatever I say, it's not halacha l'maaseh. I'm telling you, the rule is that whatever looks that you think you know and you think you understand, and you can compare it to another case that you heard that this one was allowed, that you just mentioned the case right now, it means nothing. It's really, you have to ask. At the end of everything, you have to ask a she'ela, in a serious manner when it comes to going to Arkaot. Where's the Shulchan Aruch? So we have a Siman in Shulchan Aruch, Siman Chavav, which is devoted to this. You saw the Lashon of the Shulchan Aruch. Very strong. For those that weren't here during the learning period, it says, Asur ladun bifnei dayanei akum ube'arkaot shelahem. It is forbidden to go to judgment in front of their courts and their judges. Afilu bedin shedanim bedinei Israel. Even when we know that their law is the same as our law. Okay, so it's not that you're going to get the different psak. You're going to get the same. Even if the two Baalei Dinim, they both want to go to court. So there is no argument here between the two parties. They both agreed. Asur. Whoever goes to court, to Arkaot is a Rasha. Very, very, very strong wording that we have here. So the first question that is asked, I just want to spend the first part of the shiur explaining the severity of this. And the second part, just some ideas that you cannot rely on. I'll say it again and many more times. Of what can be done and not be done. So the first question is whether this is an isur d'oraita. So it seems many of the Rishonim seem to learn that it's straightforward. It's straightforward. A pasuk in the Torah, Perashat Mishpatim, the first pasuk. This is what you set in front of the Dayanim, but not in front of Goyim. The only issue that we have is that the Rambam is not moneh this as one of the mitzvot of the Torah. It's in the list of the mitzvot that the Rambam has. He does not count this one as one of the 613 mitzvot. So it's very possible that the pasuk obviously is an asmachta for him for us to know, and there may not be a direct isur d'oraita as we understand. And we have let's see, this is quite difficult.
The other two?
Sure, if you have. Sure. So the Gaon, is it better?
Yeah, it is. It's worth the dust.
Okay. No, it's small. It's small. Okay. The Gaon writes here, Mishe maniach Dayanei Israel, ve'olech lifnei akum, kafar be'akadosh baruch hu techila. זה כופר לי הקדוש ברוך הוא. ואחר כך כפר בתורה. שנאמר כי לא כצורנו צורם ואויבינו פלילים. אויבינו פלילים. פלילים is the courts. Yeah, that we go over our enemies. This is the strong lashon of the Gaon that explains why Maran wrote what he wrote. אפילו נתרצו שני בעלי דינים. Yeah, is this the source is the Rosh. The Rosh writes like this in the Tshuva. מי שקיבל על עצמו אם לא אפרע לך מעותיך, I take money from you or whatever the circumstances are, and I tell you, if I don't pay you back, I'm telling you, yeah, I owe you money. And I'm telling you, if I don't pay you back, אני נותן לך רשות לקבול עליי לפני ערכאות. I give you permission to take me to court. I'm telling you, I owe you the money, and I'm telling you I'm going to pay you, but if I don't pay you, you have all the right to take me to court, and they agree to go to court with you. Yeah? אפילו הכי אסור. Even in that case, it's asur. This is Tchuvat HaRosh, and this is where Maran got an interesting side to this, just on the side. I found it by coincidence. Yeah. Since we have circumstances in which this happens, the Tashbats, if you have time, read the Tashbats, is the most, if you want a good dose of how bad this is, read them. Yeah, and you'll see. He brings certain teshuvot that a person who goes to court, you menadinoto, you put them in nidui. So the Knesset HaGedolah writes on the side that I saw now that the nidui is when they both don't agree. There is, if they both agree to go to court, you don't put them in nidui because they both agree. That's an interesting concept. Yeah. The nidui part, the isur remains. You understand? The isur and the strong wording of the isur remains. Only the nidui part, the only gain of two people wanting to go to court, yeah, is that they're over, they're called reshayim, they're called everything bad, except that you don't put them in nidui. That's all. That's how bad it is. So, yeah, in essence, if you go through the Rishonim, you'll see that there is two major issues. Yeah, besides the Pesukim that we saw, yeah, that there's a Chilul Hashem. Yeah, first of all, that means because at the end of the day, you're stating that you're going to get better treatment, legal treatment in a court than in a betin. That's number one. Yeah, number two, yeah, in practical life, you end up being a gazlan. I don't know if we'll have time to speak about it, but I want you to know that many times, I'll just mention it now, right now, that you should know, if I forget later to mention it, that even when you get permission to go to a court, yeah, from a bedin who tells you, he's misalev ledin, the other side doesn't want to come, he's not going to come, whatever the permission is that you get, you only get permission to go to court to be able to claim that which you could claim in bedin. And if you end up having more than what Torah allows you, there's gezer biyado. There's many Rishonim that hold that the extra, that means if you came to Bedin, you would get $1,000, and you went to court and you got $2,000, which happens all the time, because when you go to court, you add all kinds of, he owes me this much, and then there is all kinds of extras that you can ask the court to what is it called? There's
the legals.
Now, besides the legals maybe
damages.
Emotional damage.
Whatever, a lot of things that wouldn't work for us. Okay, whatever you want to translate it into. So I just want to tell you now, even though it's probably part of what I want to say later, that you should know that when we speak about gezel, it starts with the fact that if the Torah believes that this doesn't belong to you, it doesn't belong to you. And because you found a shortcut to go to a court that will give it to you, it's certainly wrong. But you should know that even after you're allowed to go to the court, you didn't finish yet with Dinei Torah. You still have to go and ask, okay, from this money that I got, how much is really what I can keep and how much is it that what doesn't belong to me, that the other person is paying. So when we speak about the idea of gezel, it's a serious idea, yeah.
כשמישהו יש לו רשות מהבייס דין ללכת לערכאות והוא הולך לשם, האם הוא יכול לבקש את הסכום הזה שלא היה מגיע לו בבייס דין?
No, but the lawyer will convince him to ask for everything in the world. That's what happens. What happens is the lawyer tells you, ask to take away his house. You understand? There's no problem. Because you're not going to get it. But at least you'll get closer to this. Many times you get much more than the halakha would give you. Yes. Right. Gezel is not the reshut. You understand? What I owe you. But you take a penny more than what I owe you. It's gezel. We'll talk. Well, maybe we won't talk. I don't know. We speak here in this Kollel, Baruch Hashem. The sugyot are big. You understand? Where they're long. There's a lot to speak about. Baruch Okay.
The concept of suing.
Okay.
That's not Torah.
Huh?
The concept to sue somebody.
Right. That's what it is. That's our code. So anyway, let me tell you. Yeah, philosophically, we're not going to talk. Yeah, mamash. You should know that it's a big chisaron in emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the side. That somebody thinks, I'm going to bypass the Dinei Torah and I'm going to go to court because I'm going to get better. And he thinks that there's a hatzlacha, quote unquote, to that. It's totally wrong. The Rambam writes like this in the Tshuva, not in the halachot. In the Tshuva he writes like this: Mi she'en lo edim Yisrael ha'mamono ha'magia mechavero. A person owes me money, yeah, but I don't have Jewish witnesses. Rak edim goyim. I have non-Jews that are witnesses. Yeah? So all the people in my office that are non-Jews, they all witnessed what happened here. And לכן רוצה לתבוע בערכאות. He wants to take him to court. He says כל זה עבירה. ואין ראוי למסור לדיני גויים אלא מי שנמנע מדיני ישראל. You can't say, you know what, I'm stuck. These edim are not good in the bedin. They're not good. I mean, edim that come that are pesule edut, yeah, the bedin cannot deal with it, right? They're pesule edut. We can't accept their edut. It doesn't mean that we don't take into consideration. By the way, practically speaking, we do take namidine edut, yeah, but we do take into consideration what other people are saying. You understand? In the process of a sitting of a bedin, yeah. But midinei edut, it doesn't work. So the Rambam says, you know that you're not stealing. You know that this person, everybody, that there is 10 goyim. That's all. That I gave him $1,000 and he owes me $1,000, whatever it may be. Even that is not enough reason to go to our court. Sometimes we have to understand that the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants different. It's not the cheshbon of how to do it. It goes further. That this chiyuv of going to court or not going to court extends even to goyim. The pasuk, the Midrash Tanchuma says like this: Minayin ata lamed sheYisrael vegoy oved kochavim. How do you know that if there is a Jew and a goy, שיש להם עסק זה עם זה, that they have a dispute, שאסור שישראל יאמר לגוי, לך עמי לערכאות שלכם. That the Jew cannot take the goy to court. He cannot tell them, let us go to your court. שהוא עובר בלאו, שנאמר, לא עשה כן לכל גוי ומשפטים בל ידעום. Yeah, another pasuk, yeah, that the Midrash brings down. He's over on a love. Yeah? So, you understand what this means? This means you have a dispute with a goy. You first have to offer him to come to the team. you first have to offer him to come to Bedin. It's a serious matter. Mishpatim bal yedao. And the Midrash says that you over on Allah. You understand? It's taken very lightly. I'll tell you, we had an experience of somebody that actually brought the goy to the Bedin. And we listened to the case. And it was a case that we could decide on the spot. We told them to step outside. And we hear the conversation going on outside. They stood right by the door outside. And the goy tells the Jew, you guys have it amazing. For $100 you come, you sit here, you have three judges listening to you, yeah, and they give you the answer on the spot. You understand? A phone call to the lawyer, the first phone call to the lawyer costs more than that. I'm telling you, a conversation.
But if they know about all our dinei grama and garmis, they would all come to Jewish court of the defendants.
Right. We have to be proud that with that grama ben Izikin is patur. We have to, it costs. Yeah, who says?
Well, am I obligated to tell the guy, by the way, you would be patur on tens of thousands?
Yeah, you have to offer him. The chances are that the guy is not going to come, and that's what gives us a heter to take him to court. Because generally, the guy is going to say, leave me alone.
You don't need Rishut Betin.
I'm not going to go to some rabbis. Yeah?
You don't need Rishut Betin.
So, for a guy, no. For a guy, no. We'll talk still about Rishut.
Do you have to tell them it's rabbis, or can you tell them they're arbitrators?
No. Arbitrators, I have an issue with. Maybe we'll get there. Let's see if we get there. Okay. So you understand what happened now? Okay, we're building up the case against going to courts. Yeah. So even goyim. Yeah. Now a person who's not religious, mean and apikoros, who doesn't believe in anything, it's not an excuse to take him to court. You should know. You have to send him a hazmana to Bedin, yeah. The custom of some of the Dayanim, myself, Minchat Yitzchak, and the Sternburg, and this is to send one hazmana. After one hazmana, if the person doesn't answer and he's an apikoros, yeah, he's known that doesn't keep Torah mitzvot. So it's enough to give a heter for somebody to go. You should know that going to Arkaot, because sometimes you hear these comments. I went to court. The judge was Jewish. Yeah, the judge was Jewish. That seems to solve a little bit of the problem. A lot of the judges are Jewish. So in America we can do this. In Eretz Yisrael it's worse. All the judges are Jewish. So it says in the poskim, Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank has a strong tshuva because they were very upset at him that he considered the Arkaot of Eretz Yisrael as Arkaot Shel Goyim. Yeah, they wanted, he was the Rav of Yerushalayim, and they thought it was just a move of Kanaut against the establishment. And he wrote, on the contrary, a person that goes to a court and the judge is a Jew is over one more avera. It doesn't make it any easier. It makes it that he's over whatever averot, whatever lavin we said he's over, yeah, and he's also over lifnei iver lo titen mishol, yeah, because he's causing him, yeah. He too is not allowed, yeah. He too is not allowed to judge in a court. A Jew cannot be a judge in a court when the laws are the laws of Arkaot. The Chazon Ish, we'll soon see. The Chazon Ish says, אין נפקותה בין בא לפני אין עם ישראלים ובין ישראל ששופט על פי חוקים הגויים. There is no difference to come to goyim or to come to a Jew who's using the laws of the goyim to judge us. ועוד הדבר יותר מגונה, it's worse. שהמירו את משפטי התורה על משפטי ההבל, that they chose to establish themselves in a position, yeah, where they're using the arkaot, yeah, to judge Jews. Chacham Ovadia, Alav Shalom, writes like this: לכן, עורך דין ירא שמיים, a lawyer who is a ירא שמיים, שנדרש לייצג בבית המשפט אדם שתובע ממון מחברו, who's hired to represent somebody who's taking another Jew, yeah, to court. לפי ההלכה חייב להימנע מכך. According to ההלכה, he has to refuse to accept the case. שהרי הוא מסייע בידי עוברי עבירה. Yeah, because he helps the עוברי עבירה. I mean, he has a longer lashon over there that, that the lawyer thinks that, I'm not doing anything, I'm just representing somebody else, So he ends up and he says, אין שליח לדבר עבירה. Yeah, so you're not a shaliach to dvar avera. It's a dvar avera to go. You cannot be a shaliach. You cannot blame the person who's sending you. Yeah, you're responsible, and therefore you cannot be a lawyer. You cannot be a lawyer for somebody who's taking another Jew to court. Clear? You sure you want me to continue?
Only if it's permitted by the dean.
We'll see. We'll see.
No, we're talking Jews.
They
got permission. One of them.
So the other way around, it works immediately. What happens if a Jew, Abraham, takes Yitzchak to court? Yeah? And Abraham is going to court. So Avadia is saying you can't represent many of the poskim. It's not only him. Yeah? You cannot represent Abraham. Because Abraham is over Avera, yeah? And you're representing him. Yeah? But you can represent Yitzchak. Because Yitzchak needs now protection. Yeah? So that you have no choice. Yitzchak has to go to court because they'll subpoena him or whatever the laws of the country are. Yeah? So he's stuck now. He has to go to court and he has to go with a lawyer. In that case, the nitba, yeah, you are certainly allowed to go with. As a consequence of this, the Minchat Yitzchak has something interesting. When your profession is such that you give opinions to the court, there's a legal name to it. He didn't write. Yeah, but there's again a friend of the court. Yeah. That you're a professional, you're a forensic somebody or other, yeah, and the courts will use you. So there you have a problem also. So he writes like this. There's a whole tshuva on this. I guess when he was in England, it probably was more prevalent that Jews had these positions. And he writes that if it is for a case of two goyim, it's a mitzvah to do it. Yeah. They both goyim, they go to court. There is the goyim, one of the Sheva Mitzvot Bnei Noach is nistavu ala dinim, yeah, that they have to have court. So when you help two goyim, you're doing okay. You understand? The logic, yeah? It's very good. You're doing a mitzvah if you're helping either one of them, or whatever the case is. Ben Goy ve'Yehudi, he writes, if one is a Jew and the other one is a Goy, so then you need a askama from the Jew. You can't go and give your opinion. That means you can't take the case. You understand? Unless the Jew is very willing to, he welcomes the opportunity of your opinion in his case. Yeah? And B'shnei Yehudim, he doesn't want to give a psak. He says each case has to be a she'ela on its own. So, yeah?
Where does emes come in?
Well, yeah, for two goyim, that's why you go.
What's the difference if it's a Jew or Goy? Emes is, is you seeking out the truth?
What happens if your opinion is going to be against the Jew?
That's the truth is the truth. Doesn't matter
Right.
who's right.
Okay, good. So who says that you have a right to present the truth in front of Goyim? That's the point. The whole din of Arkaot, we're not talking about in either side. By the way, even you should know that even the Arkaot, when we speak about giving permission, they all insist. I mean, I don't think we have the problem today, but they all insist that it has to be Arkaot that do not take bribes, like clean judges. You understand? It's not just anybody. It has to. That means you have to establish that the emet is going to come out, and that's why you're going to allow whatever permission you're going to give to somebody to go to Arkaot. Yeah, but I don't have an obligation to go to a court to establish the truth, especially if they're two Jews. If they're two Jews, come to Bedin and we'll establish the truth. Bedin will have a better opportunity to choose than
What is it like a criminal case? And I'm a
criminal case is something else. Criminal case is a whole different ballgame. You can't compare monetary cases to criminal cases. Criminal cases is again, it's nothing that somebody should leave open. It's one of the major issues in our generation is when do you go to the police, And I don't know that there is any gadol in the world who's willing to make a statement with the definition of when you go. And I hope they don't, because each case has to be looked at by itself. And there's a lot of pressure in the criminal problems. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of innuendos that we don't care enough because we don't run to the police all the time and so on. But that's a whole different. Okay. So you see how tough it is to go. If you want, you look at Rabbi Akiva Eger. The level of gezer, yeah. He says, "V'imotzi mamon al yedei din arkaot, imen chen bedinei Israel, hamamon gezer biyado, ve'im kidesh beze ena mekudeshet." If you used it to buy a ring to your future wife, you should know your wife is not married. If you use that money, the money that is gezer, ve'u pasul la'edut kemo kol gazlan, and he is pasul la'edut, yeah. Like everybody else. So you have to be very careful not to have, yeah. The Marshal writes that a person who goes to court is pasul la'edut and is pasul for Shavua. Okay? The Mishnah Brura writes that a person who goes to court pasul liot shaliach tzibur berosh Hashanah v'yom HaKippurim. If you take somebody to court, you cannot be a shaliach tzibur. Preferably ever, but certainly not on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which are the special dinim of Shlichei Tzibur. That there is one opinion that you cannot count him in a minyan either. That's how far it goes. The Rivash wrote a long time ago in Spain. Isha shetava et ba'ala be'arkaot, in one of the tshuvot. Yeah, a woman that took her husband to court. Yeah. So after discussing whatever consequences there are because of living in the country and so on, but if at all possible, his suggestion is tikreu la'ashtar ketubah. Take her ketubah and tear it up. Yeah. Zulati matai meikar ketubah. Just give her the 200 zuz, the ikar of the ketubah, and don't give her anything else from the ketubah, and find a way to get to divorce. But he should not stay with this woman, and she loses, yeah, all the extras of the ketubah. This is how the Rivash was one of the Geonim of Spain.
What was that? What?
We talk about Sheshet. Somebody else? Okay, So let's go to Halacha Bet. This was a little bit of Halacha Aleph. Halacha Bet, הייתה יד הגויים תקיפה ובעל דינו אלים, ואינו יכול להציל ממונו בדייני ישראל, יתבענו לדייני ישראל תחילה. If when the goyim are in control, like in our country, we don't have a police, bedin police, we have no form of enforcement, so therefore, if we have somebody who is very violent, and violent doesn't mean necessarily physically, it's somebody who's very stubborn and not caring for the going-ons of the community, and you cannot bring him to a bedin, you try first, יתבענו לדייני ישראל תחילה. אם לא רצה לבוא, נוטל רשות מבדין ומציל בדיני גויים מיד בעל דינו. If he does not want to come, then you can bring him to court. You first call him to a bedin, and if he doesn't want, נוטל רשות מבדין. You must ask permission from a bedin to take him to court, to matzil bedine, Haga, listen to this. The Rama writes, V'yesh reshut labedin. The bedin itself has a right lelech lifnei goyim ula'id shezeh hayav leze. To go to the court and to tell them this Jew owes this Jew money. And in countries like where we lived in Morocco and so on, where there was this type of relationship, where there was a lot of respect for the community to keep its law and so on, we used the law enforcement institutions that they had for the purpose of the bedin. Okay? So this comes, interesting enough, from the Gemara in Baba Kama says like this. Mina ach milta, there is a list of what people say. People have sayings. And Gemara asks, Mina ach milta de amrin shi, where is the source for this which people said, Karit lechavrech velo anach, you called your friend and he didn't answer you. Rami guda rabba shadi ale, pick up a big wall and throw it on him. Gemara answers, we learned it from Yechezkel. Yan tihartich velo tahat mitumatech. Since I wanted to purify you, velo tahat mitumatech. Yechezkel is speaking about Am Israel, being impure, and he's telling them, I want to purify you, but you don't want to purify yourself from your tumah. Lo tithari od, you will never be purified. That's the words of this. So the Rosh brings down that from this, Mikan Pasak Rapaltai, from this Gemara, right? That's seems take a wall, throw it on a person, whatever that means. So Rapaltai explains it. From there he was posek. Reuven sheyesh lo teviah al Shimon. ומסרב לבוא עמו לדין, שרשאי להביאו לערכאות של נוכרים כדי להוציא את שלו מתחת ידו. You can bring him to the courts. That's the wall. The big wall you're going to throw on him is, the court that you're going to go and this. So there is obviously some technicalities to understand, just to pause for a moment. How at the end of the day, the Chilul Hashem, the many things that we say about alcohol, how does it work? So you get permission, and then all that falls aside. We have to understand it. So it's not easy. So the Hatam Sofer explains it in the following manner: that being the way I understand it, these are not his words, but it seems that being that you need to ask permission from the bedin whether to go to court or not to go to court, it establishes a hierarchy of who's more important. So if you have to ask me permission, to talk to the other person, it must be that I'm more important, and that's why without my permission you can't talk to the other person. If the other person were more important, you wouldn't ask me permission, right? The bedin is more important, so it establishes. So he says that in that case it becomes like a shlichut of the bedin. I'm sending you, the bedin is sending you and telling you, you go to court on our behalf. As if you're going to court on our behalf. We're the higher court, yeah, and we're sending you to a lower court on our behalf. And therefore, that's the element that is necessary in the establishment of whether to go to court from a bedin and so on. Another technical question that's why it requires permission is also because a lot of the things that are going to happen are against the Torah. Okay, so this person didn't come to bedin. All right. Now I'm telling Abraham, he didn't come to bedin, you go to court. What do you do with all the things that happen against halakha in court? You have a problem. Because at the end of the day, even if I say that you're my shaliach and you're going on my behalf, you're still dealing with issues that are against halakha. So for that, we need the koach of hefker bedin. At some point or other, the bedin has power to be mafkir, to nullify, values, and to take away possessions, and therefore, so don't minimize the importance of going to a bedin to ask. You understand? Because if you don't go to a bedin to ask and you go to court, and you have something that in the process of the court that is against halakha, against the laws of the Torah, it cannot belong to you. It cannot belong to you unless there is a bedin backing you in the back that's saying whatever the court decides, we are going to make it hefker. And now you can take it. But you can't take money from somebody else that doesn't belong to you. So you understand what the mechanism is. That's why it's so necessary. So that's why there is a big machloket, in the poskim of how to go about getting permission.
How does it occur with Yerushot? Yerushot.
We'll talk if we get a chance. We'll see. Okay, so like this. There's several opinions on how this works. There's a small number of poskim that is certainly not who we follow, but you should know that there is such a svara that this asking to go into court is isur veheter. And the same way, when you have a chicken with a broken leg, you don't need a bedin to decide that it's kosher, it's not kosher. So the same way here, you go to a rav and you ask him, it's isur ve'eter. What do they do with a monetary aspect? They look at it as nizakin. And that's how, and that's why it's very difficult to follow. Another opinion is that since a person, there is a siman in Shulchan Aruch that the person is allowed to nominate a judge for himself, even though he does not fulfill the requirements of judgment, which means we can decide that the gardener outside, when he finishes shoveling the snow, he should come in, he should sit down and judge between us. If we're both in agreement, it's fine. So this cannot be any worse since I have a right, but that too is a problem. Because we'll soon speak about that. So I'll tell you what the psak of most poskim is. There is no question that most poskim hold that you require a bedin. Okay, you require 3 dayanim to give you permission, and that's in our times. By the way, that was the psak of Rabbi Yashiv, that was Rav Wozner. Like all the poskim in Eretz Israel, they all held you don't go to a Rav and you ask a question and you go to court. You have to go to a bedin. There is an opinion that you have to go to the very bedin that called this tovea to come and he didn't come. Okay? So not just a bedin that was involved in the case. The Radbaz wrote that a bedin of Zabla, the bedin of Zabla, the Rablo, we speak about it last week, yeah? So you know what the bedin of Zabla is, where each one chooses one, and the two choose the third one. That's not good enough to give permission to go to court. You hear? You know, look how far we're going. This is a bedin that has all the power of a bedin. The halakha gives it all the power. But for this, the Rabbah says that it's not. On the side, Rav Fisher from the Edah Haredit had, it's not the problem in Toronto. The Dayanim, they don't charge for their work. They charge for Bitul Zman, which is very minimal. But there's cities in the world that the Dayanim is a profession. It's a full profession. So he says that the bedin like that takes more than Bitul Melacha, cannot give permission. It's a big chidush, but just to emphasize how the importance of a bedin is to get permission for this, and it can be just a makeshift, because this is one of the problems that we have. All of a sudden people are being called to courts, and you ask the person, who, what? Yeah, my rabbi told me I can. It doesn't work. It does not work. Don't try it, because it's clear that it's not enough. So what do we go to courts for? So I'll give you a general rule, and I'll try to speak a few details. Yeah. By the way, courts means any government institution. That means it's not only the courts down on University Avenue. You understand? Even workers courts and human resources courts, labor boards, all these type of things. They're all under the same category. So don't if you have a dispute with
even if they're not government enforced,
with a worker,
Workman's compensation.
Workman's the compensation itself is not. Unless you can make a deal with the person, right? Yeah. And you can come to a bedin and this. Yeah.
Let's say you work in a diamond exchange, and the only way they're going to let you to go into there.
Okay, so there is room for that. I'll tell you what. So right now, the arkaot extend themselves beyond the bedin. What you're talking about is very acceptable because it's a bedin of soharim, yeah, and minhag tagarim has a serious place in halakha by us, right? And when you go in there, you go with the understanding that there is a board that will deal with the differences of this, so that's acceptable. First of all, second of all, you have to know that many of these things, and this is maybe, yeah. So it's clear in Siman Chafpet that the minhag of the Socharim establishes itself as this. Now. Like this, there's a difference between arbitration and mediation, okay? And this. I don't know if I'm right or not. I'm just telling you what I think, yeah. And I'm sure that you'll find other people that hold different. I see a clear difference between arbitration and mediation. Arbitration is something that happens, and the person who's arbitrating has the laws of the country or in front of him. That means his arbitration means I'm going to sit down with both sides, and I'm going to come and read to them their rights. Yeah, I'm going to tell them what the law is. They're going to argue, yes, you owe me, you don't owe me, whatever the technical arguments are going to be. But at the end, the arbitrator, I'm going to make a decision. Yeah? So that could border on going to a court because at the end of the day, the laws are necessary. Mediation doesn't mean that. Mediation means you sit down and I'm going to find a middle road where you can both walk. And it could be a road that is illogical. It could be a road that is not following the rules of the Canadian law, whatever it may be, right? So for example, I have a rule because I even if I may be totally wrong with this, I tell people always go for mediation. Mediation is safe because you're not dealing with laws. We're not dealing with laws.
Both of them are non-binding.
Right. Okay, that's a different story. But in the choice that you have, yeah, mediation is less binding. Mediation is less binding.
Arbitration.
But the fact is that so this minhag of the Soharim, yeah, they have their internal rules, and when you go into this business, you know that there's internal rules. That's all. So it's not the same as a court where there is a country and there is laws that are represented by the country. You understand? It's a club. You want to belong to the club, there is internal rules in the club, Okay, it will be no different than a health club. They have rules. If you don't follow the health club rules, you're out, right? So this is where the Soharim come into picture. Yeah.
You're in mediation, and it ends up going into possible binding mediation arbitration. You approach the best din before anything happens. Is that what
you're right? You come and you say we have come to an agreement. The bedin has no problem. The bedin has no problem to mediate themselves. Okay. There's no problem whatsoever. I mean, whatever restrictions we have them more as arbitrators than as mediators.
We have 10 minutes left at the end for questions. Like in another 5 minutes, we'll stop for questions. There's a lot of questions.
Okay, but you want to know a lot of the things that. Okay, so let me go through the list of things that you can do. Collections, yeah. Collections, you're allowed to go for, yeah. When it's clear, there is no decision to be made. The courts don't have to make a decision whether you owe the money or you don't owe the money. Yeah, the money is owed, but you can't collect. Right? So collections, you can go. The Ritva has a tshuva, אם ישראל זה הלווה האנס, שאין יכול המלווה להוציא ממנו בדיני ישראל, בזה לדין ולדיין שמותר לו למוכרו לגוי. He can take his shtar chov, yeah, and sell it to a goy. This person, I have an IOU for him, yeah, for $1,000, I'm selling it to you for $900 to the goy, go after. No problem. No problem. Straightforward, the Ritva says, which is interesting.
Not to the mafia,
yeah,
right?
Right. Obviously, we're not talking that he's going to, yeah. Now, even though, yeah, the guy may go and be mazik him in many other ways. You can, right? Since even when there is a hezek that comes from that, yeah, the people that were right about this Ritva, they all say, yeah, כיוון שאינו רוצה לשלם, הוא דאזיק על נפשי. He is the one who's causing the damage to himself. You want, you owe, you pay. You don't want to pay? Okay, so there is consequences, but you don't have to do this. Yeah?
You still need an approval by the Bet Din?
Right. All these things, that's why. All these things you need, yeah. The Bala Terumot wrote in the name of, if you want to see it in the Yismah, you'll see it in the name of Rab Shrira Gaon, that יש לזקנים, I'm cutting off because it's late, יש לזקנים ולתלמידים רשות שילכו לפני השופט ויעידו שזה חייב לזה ומצווה לעשות כן. You can go and give testimony to the courts that this Jew owes this Jew to money. There is no problem. Yeah. The interesting part, the Rama takes it even further in Siman Kuf Samech Gimel, and he speaks about communal dues. Communal dues. Yeah, he explains how it should work. Yeah, you get all the people together and you follow the majority. and the majority has a right to impose on the minority, yeah. And if whatever it is that the decision is made, and the minority has to follow and is obligated to come forward with whatever monies are necessary for he has a whole list of the things that communities do, yeah, and they collect monies, and you can force everybody to give money, yeah, and he says, yeah, יש כוח בידי הרוב או ביד מי שימנו הרוב עליהם, there is power in the hands of the majority or the person that represents them, להכריחם ולכופם בין בדיני ישראל בין בדיני האומות עד שיאמרו רוצים אנחנו. They can go to the courts and say this person is not paying membership dues, yeah, and I can't collect from him, he doesn't listen to Bedin, yeah. They can go to court and collect tuition from the parents, yeah. That's what comes out. Injunctions, you're allowed to do. Anything that can damage you, yeah, that you need to stop now from happening, yeah. Any type of injunction, whether it's an injunction of a sale that is taking place that you have claim on, whether it's an injunction of fixing the building, doing something, whatever injunction, yeah, there is no question that you're allowed to go, because that's the only method to be able to stop, yeah. Again, we're talking about monetary things. Obviously, a person who, there's no question to a person who's going to be criminally attacked one way or another has certainly all the right to go to the police. We're not even talking about that. Class actions, you're allowed to join, yeah, because you're not initiating the class action, yeah.
Even if it's against a Jewish-owned company?
That means the class action is going. So the Torah doesn't expect you to just be stupid and say, I don't want my share. You understand?
It's not Gizela because
it's not Gizela because everybody's getting. It's not like you're coming to get. Obviously there is serious reason, yeah, for this, and that's why once you get the heter of the bedin, so that's the key. That's why it was so important to understand what hefker bedin is, because at the end of the day, if you find yourself in a circumstance like that where there is a she'ela of gezela, so it's the bedin was mafkir, the money of that person.
Even though you might be the major shareholder.
Okay, so that's a big question. There's a machloket in the poskim if you are. Okay, insurance. Insurance, most poskim don't have a problem with. And a Jew hit you with his car, yeah, or you fell, you came to somebody's house and you fell, yeah, and you have to claim the insurance. So most poskim don't have a problem with it.
Even if you cause the person's deductible.
So good. So like this. So there is some poskim that want to make a difference with the fact that the premium is going to be higher now. That means, okay, the person wants to claim, you want to collect the money, but who's going to pay my premium now? Yeah, you're going to court. So I'll tell you what there is. Again, most poskim don't have a problem even with the premium rising, because when you bought insurance, that's what you bought insurance for. It was clearly understood that you're buying insurance for when you hit somebody, so that person can be compensated, and the result is that you're going to pay more insurance. Yeah, that was the deal. You understand? No, it's not something that was popped up to you now in the middle of nowhere. You understand? It was part of the original deal. Everybody knows when you buy insurance is why. Yeah, sure. Nobody wants to hit anybody, right? So that's premise number one. We don't want to hit anybody. Okay, so you buy insurance. Yeah? But then, right, you hit somebody, there is the consequences. So that's what it is. There is some poskim very little that want to make a difference on how the insurance works. Sometimes They want to be lamdanim on this. Whether the insurance is that I buy insurance, and when I hit you, you take me to court. The insurance has nothing to do. Only when I become chayav in court does the insurance come in and say, okay, I'll pay for you. So they feel that that's a problem, right? If that's how insurance works. Other people feel insurance doesn't work like that. Insurance takes responsibility for you and deals directly with me. You understand? Whatever it may be, the difference between both opinions is just this going up of the raise on the premium. You know, according to those that hold that there is something by taking the Jew to court to collect from an insurance, you should pay him the extra. But it's, as I said, it's not this. For example, most poskim hold that it's a mitzvah to go for the holder of the insurance to go and to give testimony. That means I have insurance and I hit you. It's a mitzvah for me to go and say, yeah, I hit him. I hit this car. The story that he's saying is a true story. Yeah. There's a whole issue with which we're not going to get involved with. There's a whole issue with corporations where they're suing them, the stocks go down. But we can't discuss everything. That it's not okay. Maybe just to touch on two more points. Wills, the tzavaot, are a problem. A tzava in a court is not a tzava in halacha. It's contrary to halacha. You should know that. Yeah. So at the end of the day, whatever you do, you don't have big choices because you need a tzava that stands in court. But the tzava that stands in court doesn't exist in halacha. Because the tzava that stands in court is the tzava that says that after the person dies, this goes to this and this goes to that. And by us, after the person dies, nothing goes anywhere. It's finished. Yeah. So the tzavaot have nobody should write the tzava only according to the laws of the country because it's not a legal tzava according to halacha. We do have an addendum that we put to say that all the kinyanim should take place according to halacha and so on, notwithstanding what it says in the will. But the will itself on itself is a problem. So you can certainly go to court because otherwise the properties, whatever it is, your assets, your estate is at risk. So you should go to court, but you should remember that you don't have a tzava according to halacha.
So which should be written by a rabbi?
Well, there is an addendum that we put in. Either you write it like we used to do in Morocco, go to the Bedin and write it according to halacha, or today at least try to have a statement made that whatever it says in this tzava, we want the kinyanim to take place according to the laws of Torah.
Can you send that addendum?
We have to do it. We have to do it. The next thing is bankruptcies. Yeah, bankruptcy, personal bankruptcy doesn't exist in halacha. Yeah, so it's a major problem when you deal with bankruptcies. Yeah, corporate bankruptcy is much more tolerable because lechatchila, when a person goes into making a deal with a corporation, you know that they're protected. And Chapter 11 is something that they can pull up in front of you at any time. And you made the deal, yeah, knowing that. So but in essence, the bankruptcy itself, yeah, a personal bankruptcy means that you still owe the money, and if in 100 years from now you have money, you have to pay it. A corporate bankruptcy, you can rely on the fact that was the t'nai of business that you did with them, and obviously you have a right to be one of the people that are collecting when the bankrupt assets are being distributed to the different people. Yeah, so certainly you have a right to claim what is yours. Okay.
Do we have time for a couple questions, sir?
What is the maximum amount of times that being required to send an invitation to Jews to come to court? You mentioned one.
I mean, again, we try to, in practical life, we try to send one a week, but there are times that that time is of essence. Yeah. So then we're careful we make an ikul, which is a way to stop any activity to happen with whatever it is in question here, and if time is a problem, and then at that time we have nothing is going to happen, right? Because there's an injunction on it, so one way or another. But we try to send the 3 Azmanot with enough time to answer.
How many Dayanim are in Toronto?
How many Dayanim are in Toronto?
In other words,
I don't want to answer that. You want to answer?
If people are on vacation or whatnot, and matters need to happen.
Yeah, they happen. They happen.